G'day my fellow nerds, my name is Larissa and it's time for another My Thoughts on RWBY Volume 4 so far. Today I'm chatting to you about chapters 4, 5 and 6 and there's lots to talk about. So make sure you check out my reactions and my previous My Thoughts video. I'll pop a link in the card section above to my playlist, so make sure you go check that out. So whilst where chapters 1 to 3 felt like it was setting the scene for what was to happen, 4, 5 and 6 all came together to a tipping point. Sorry, couldn't help myself. So we saw Yang wearing the robotic arm, Blake making it to Menagerie, Weiss sung at the charity concert, and Tyrion caught up with Ranger. So everything's all coming together. So I'm going to have a chat to you about my thoughts on each scene, including the world of remnants. So if you haven't seen those, make sure you check them out. I'll pop a link in the description below to where you can watch it on Rooster Teeth's website. And then after that, I'll answer some of your questions that you've asked me. And I've got lots actually this time, which is awesome. So let's have a chat about each of the chapters and what happened and my thoughts. So Chapter 4 was the chapter that basically debunked all the theories. It was a very intense episode. And it started up with Farmer Boy, who we find out is Osmond, or linked to Osmond, or Osmond's in his mind, or I don't know. We didn't get much information about it, except that his name is Oscar, as I heard a female voice call out to him saying, Oscar, be careful with those tools. So, and that sort of links in with Osmond because we know he's based on the Wizard of Oz, and the Wizard of Oz's first name was Oscar. So yeah, there's that link there. What I feel about this, because I'm not sure whether his aura's been joined with his, or he's been regenerated as him, which I think that's less likely. So I don't know, I think we need a bit more information because they really only teased us, didn't tell us much. I did like a thought of Murder of Birds, Arnold's, and his reaction where he said that maybe Oscar's not seeing his reflection, he's seeing something else, which is a good point, because you see him looking in the mirror, he's sort of pulling his hair and he doesn't know what he's, he looks like he's a bit unsure of how he looks. But if you're seeing something else, you think we will be shown that in his reflection, but I don't know. I think it's awesome that he's linked to Osmond in some way, and he's definitely going to play an important role in the future, in the story in the future, but it's just, I don't think we've got enough about him yet. But yeah, anyway, moving along from him. So the next scene we saw was Yang's dream. And where she's dreaming of Adam. In the previous chapter we saw her that she was able to cope with the physicalities of her injury, but the mental scars are there and shown even more so in this dream. And it was so haunting and eerie. The music was great, the angles were great, the feel of it, you could really feel it was like a nightmare. And I really enjoyed, well, enjoyed as much as you can enjoy watching someone else's nightmare, but it really did show us that Adam is on Yang's mind, and it's going to take her a while to get through these mental scars that she has to what happened. And when she woke up, she actually looked straight at the robotic arm as well. So that's weighing on her mind too, as we see. And she's scared, as she says later on. But then she goes downstairs and there's Professor Port and Dr. Oobleck talking there with Ty, and we get a little bit of insight in Team Stark with Crow wore a skirt. Ty talked him into wearing it, saying it was was it a kilt? I think he said it was a kilt, and Crow never worn a uniform before, so he didn't know. And I thought that was so funny, especially with like Professor Port's like, you like what you see with his legs. It was hilarious. I really did enjoy that scene, and getting a little insight into Stark as well, and how Oobleck says like the Branwen twins were always, what did he say? Was always interesting, to say the least. I think that's what he said. And we do find later on a bit more about them, which I'll get to in a second. But and then you see Yang Cross walks in, and her and Ty have a bit of a father-daughter moment there, and then he says, oh, maybe he lost some brain cells with that arm. She got Bernie burned. Sorry, I'm really bad with the puns today. My apologies, because he's voiced by Bernie. Anyway, and that was like, I was like, what? And everyone's like, oh shit, he really said that? But then she's like, and punches him, and, it shows their relationship, and my hoodie's fully off. Sorry. Really shows their relationship, and I think they've got a very similar humour. I can see a Yang relating to Ty a lot more than RWBY does, even though, yeah, he's their dad for both of them. But yeah, definitely. She's just so much more like him from what we've seen. We still don't know a huge amount about Ty. We don't know what his semblance is either. But yeah, and then I like how Ublik said, "Oh, we finally talk about the Goliath in the room," going to, like referring to the saying, "the elephant in the room." It's a Goliath because of the Goliath grim. And yeah, of course about Yang's arm, and she says how she's scared about it, and they're both really say you need to move past this, and like they all struggle with fear. And Ty said, "Normal is what you make of it," and he referred to her as being his son, little sunny dragon, which is what her name actually means. I really enjoyed all of that, and we see it's definitely had an effect on Yang, and she was laughing and all of that. And then we just see, before we move on from that scene, was Ublik and Port asking if any news from RWBY, but no, and that Ty is staying with Yang. Well, I would have thought, I know communication towers are down, but we saw that they get mail, so you think RWBY would maybe send a letter back somehow, leave one at the village to send back, but maybe she hasn't thought of it, like any teenager maybe running away from home. She hasn't thought what impact she's having on having Yang missing her. And then we see Ranger, of course, talking of them, and Crow is looking after them, killing all the Grim, which was awesome. I was like, yeah, it's Crow. So we get to finally see him, and they make it to Higabana, and they're checking in the inn while Crow is checking out the waitress. And yeah, then he meets up with Raven, and I was like, what? Raven? She looks amazing. She sounds amazing. I love her hair in particular. I think it all looks great. And we find out that they all were from the bandit tribe, and Raven's now the leader of the bandits. Like, this was, she doesn't have leader of the bandits. She's like, I lead our people now, you know. And Crow's like, I saw what you guys did to Xion, and she's like, the weak die and the strong live. You know, it's like, okay, so yeah, she's leader of the bandits, and they've got someone strong with her, possibly the Spring Maiden. But that's my thought, is they're referring to Spring Maiden, because she wouldn't tell him. But then again, she may not know where Spring Maiden is either. I wonder where the Spring Maiden is. I hope we will get to see her. And of course the relic as well, which I still think is Osmond's cane. But Crow didn't have it with him. Like, he had it at the end of Volume 3, but he didn't have it with him there. So I wonder if he stashed it away somewhere safe, which is interesting. And then at the end of Chapter 4, we saw Yang have the arm on, which is awesome. And Ty saying it's time. Now we can start trying. I can't remember what his exact words were, but yes. So that was really awesome. I wasn't, like I mentioned in my thoughts video, I didn't think Yang will get the arm so quickly. Like, I'm happy for it, but I didn't think so. And I also didn't think we'll see it till later in that volume. So the fact we saw in the next episode, which makes sense, because we saw RWBY mainly in Chapter 1, Weiss mainly in Chapter 2, Blake mainly in Chapter 3, and now Yang in Chapter 4. So that sort of makes sense in that way. But Chapter 4 was really great. We really enjoyed it. Now, before we head to Chapter 5, we also had the World of Remnant Faunus. And we learned a bit of information that like, if a Faunus gets together with a human, you'll get the same faunus. So if the cat faunus, you get a cat faunus baby child, and then if two cat faunuses are together, you get a cat faunus child. But if you get a cat faunus and a lizard faunus or something random, you'll get a random child. So that was interesting to get that sort of perspective on things, leading into Chapter 5, which was all about menagerie. And it gave us a bit of a background that the faunuses were hunted down, and that they fought together in the Great War, but then they were exploited by the humans, and but were given menagerie, which I'll talk a bit more about in a minute. And interesting, we found out it was Vale and Bacchio against Mantle, Atlas, and Mistral in the Great War. So that was interesting, and I really enjoyed that World of Remnant. Crow's humour, like talking about the lizard regrowing his tail and shedding snake skin. Obviously, he doesn't like all those things, so I it's going to go with Tyrion being a scorpion faunus. Doesn't like scaly things. And then yes, Chapter 5, menagerie. So we finally get to see menagerie. A lot of people saying it's like Australia. Yeah, I see some references there, like it's 2/3 deserts, Australia 70% desert. And we have dangerous wildlife. They're saying the wildlife there's dangerous. I don't think they're talking about grim, because they say wildlife. They didn't say dangerous grim. So I'm wondering if they got actually really, what dangerous wildlife there that lives in the desert. Hopefully we'll get to find out exactly what that is. But it's got a really sort of oriental feel to it, mixed with a bit of Hawaiian, because you have the like the palm trees and stuff. So it's I wouldn't say it's like Remnants Australia. No, I say it's something different. It's a mix of Hawaiian and Oriental and Australia. So it's sort of a mixture of all sorts of things. And it had an otherworldly feel to it. And I love the music that gave it that sort of feeling too. It was all really pretty. And he had all the different faunuses there, which is awesome. All the different models. Oh, they come so far from Volume 1, definitely. And it was called Kuakuana as well. But they all feel like second-class citizens, that they've been cheated out, given an island, and told to make do. So you sort of get that feeling there that there's a bit of unrest in Menagerie. We got to meet Blake's parents, Kira and Gira. Carly. Why did I put Kira down in my notes? Sorry, Carly and Kira Belladonna, which Gira is referencing to the Jungle Book, apparently, a lot of people saying, as is Siana Khan, who we know is the leader of the White Fang. So I love them. I love Carly. She's so beautiful, and I just love her attitude. Like we saw when they went inside and were having tea, and Sun was like, I've seen you go in action. She's got some moves. Sexual innuendo. And Gira sort of growling at him, asking, what do you mean by that, Mr. Wukong? And Carly's like, I like him. I loved it. That was awesome. And then we got to see the Fox brothers, who turned up, who are representing the White Fang. They're really creepy, aren't they? They're really creepy, and they're definitely they're up to no good. They haven't told Gira about Adam and what happened in Vale, as we find out. And then when they're walking away, they're saying they're going to tell brother Adam about what's just happened with Blake being there, which is not good. I'm thinking that the White Fang are going to attack. They're going to do an uprising, and they're going to get caught all in the middle of it, and something bad's going to happen. That's my feelings. And I feel like something bad's going to happen to Carly and Kira. I really hope not, because really besides from Ty, the nice parents, really there's Ty, and then there's these guys as well, because Weiss' parents is just his father that we've seen is just an asshole. Anyway, moving on from that. And yes, and we also know they definitely are lying, the Fox brothers, because they saying that Adam split away from the White Fang, but we know that he's meeting with Siana Khan with Hazel. He's arranged a meeting between them two, which I think we'll see in the next few chapters as well. So we know that's all a lie. And then, of course, right at the end of that chapter, we see Tyrion at Higabana with the waitress there and say, "Can you help me look for someone?" And his horrible laugh. So he's caught up to Ruby and the gang. We saw at that point. Chapter 5, I really enjoyed. It was a little bit more of a calmer episode compared to Chapter 4, which was really intense, and Chapter 6 was really intense as well. So it was sort of like a bit of a lull, which I enjoyed it though, and got to see Menagerie, and it was really good. Chapter 6. So we see Ranger at Oniyuri. Though prior to that, we do see Ruby thought it will take 2 to 3 weeks to walk all the way to Haven. That was funny. But yes, Oniyuri, they drop the map as they're running again too. Hopefully they'll go back and get that. But yeah, that's Adama's Mountain Glen. And we found out that Ren's parents believed in the idea of Oniyuri being its own kingdom, separate to Mistral. The rich people of Mistral weren't happy with how things were being run, so they're creating its own kingdom, but as what happens, the Grimm must have attacked. Though Ren said one Grimm, and he's referencing to one Grimm, like a Goliath Grimm or bigger Grimm perhaps. We did see that mark in the ground back in Chapter 2. So I'm wondering if it's like a massive Grimm. Like we've seen the Grimm Dragon, there must be other large Grimms out there. So maybe that's what the bandits have working on their side. I don't know. But that's a thought. And a lot of people saying that Ren's parents died there. I don't think so. Because Ren didn't know the place when he began with. When they got there. So it looks like it's been abandoned. Like he didn't actually, there was no recognition on his face until we saw the name Oniyuri. And if you look at watching carefully in that scene, you can see his face change, and he looks sad and down, and that's when he says he knows he's heard of it. So he heard of it, but I don't think his parents died there. And then I think they died some other means, I'm thinking. Moving along for that, so I'm just going to make my notes up. Okay. Then we saw Weiss singing, and her voice was just amazing. It was Casey Lee's voice. It was just amazing. I love the song. I do want to quickly mention that "Burdened by a Royal Test," that line in the song is referencing Red Like Roses. Actually, I didn't even realise that till I was watching the Boobcast by Shinoop, which I was on for chapter 5, by the way. And yeah, she mentioned about that. And I'm like, oh, of course. I thought it sounded familiar, but yes, it's in Red Like Roses 1. White is lonely, burdened by White is cold and always lonely, burdened by a royal test. There you go. So yeah, but yeah, that song was basically like an F You Dad song. It was fantastic. I loved it. I think it's going to be called something like This Is My Life or something like that. It's a new song, but I really liked it. It was a lot like It's My Turn, sort of similar to the lyrics in that. And we did actually see hear a piano version play that at the charity auction in the next scene. But no sign of Mama Shnee. And she, like we found out in the Water Remnant Atlas, it's because Jack's father married into the Shnee company. So, in the family. So you think she would be there, but she's not. We still don't know her name either. I'm pretty sure it hasn't been mentioned. So, yeah, we don't know who she is. So, and she wasn't there. And then, yeah, at the charity auction, we see Jack's being a bit of a jerk. And it just makes me more hate him. And he's just an asshole. And then we see Weiss drawn to the Beacon family, obviously thinking of Beacon and Henry Marigold. I was really unsure of him to begin with, but after sort of watching a few other people's reactions, watching the episode a couple more times, I definitely got a feel that he's just one of those guys, like Weiss mentioned in previous volumes, say he's just after her name, the perks of her last name. You know, he seems like that sort of guy. He didn't really care what she thought or what she felt. He didn't even know what the auction was for, even though the sign was right there. He just wanted to chat her up, you know? Yeah, and he didn't seem to like that she rebutted him really quickly and like, no, get out of here, leave. He didn't seem like that. I think we'll see him again, and I don't think it's going to go well for Weiss. I think he's going to try and get back at her for something. I don't know what exactly, but that's my feeling. And then the trophy wife, and that's actually what she was called in the credits, trophy wife. And she's going on, Vale discerned what they had coming, rah rah rah. And of course that was just the last thing that just set Weiss off and going off at her, which was just awesome. And Jax is like, be quiet, you're embarrassing the family name. And she's like, let go of me, which I'm so proud. She stood up for herself. And she summoned the Borbatusk that was in Volume 1. Well, pretty sure it's that Borbatusk. And then Ironwood stepped in and shot it down. So much respect for James. He's just had so much more respect in this volume, with providing Yang with a robotic arm and sticking up for Weiss, saying she's the only one who's making sense here. And then also, yeah, Jack's not happy about that. I'm thinking that he's going to lock her up in a room. People are like, how's he going to punish her? I think that's probably what he will do. But yeah, I guess we'll find out. And then the last little bit was Tyrion. So we see Ranger in Oniyuri, and Ren sort of stops them, and he closes his eyes as if he's concentrating. And then we see Tyrion. And then when Tyrion arrives, Ren knows sort of where he's coming from, what direction. And also during the fight, when everything's sort of slowed down and Tyrion's moving, Ren can see him, and he's the first one to sort of alert to him. So I think this is Ren's semblance. That's my thought, and a lot of people thinking that as well. But others are like, oh, he just has really good senses. And like, yeah, but no. Like, the others didn't seem to react so quickly. Like, I don't know. I just got a feeling like this is more his, this is his semblance. Something about being able to sense danger or something like that. I'm not sure. And, that fight was so amazing. It had me on edge the whole time. And the music was so eerie. And I love how he spoke in riddles, plastic soldiers and pawns, referring to Rome Torchwick and the White Fang. And, the rose has thorns when he was talking to Ruby. And, yeah, so that was just awesome. And he's a scorpion faunus, and I've got a few questions about that, so I'll get back to that in a minute. But yeah, that was a scorpion faunus, and how his eyes changed colour when he was about to strike Ruby, which I think a lot with other people, I think he's similar to something to do with poison, changing the poison in his tail perhaps to paralyse Ruby, I'm not sure. And I mentioned in my reaction, I thought it was Mulan who was killed by poison, but it was actually Thor, Nora. So even more concerned for Nora right now. And Crow got there just in time. And he's just like, hey. And then the episode stops, and I'm like, what? I want more. You don't leave it on that. It's a cliffhanger. I've been talking for 20 minutes. I should move along. Water Remnant was Atlas, not Atlas, Schnee Dust Company. I don't know why I got Atlas in there. So we saw that the Schnee Dust Company was led by Nicholas Schnee. He was a military man. He worked a lot, put a lot of effort in, and he wanted to revive the kingdom. And he got the Schnee Dust Company, and dust sales went up, and he was able to revive the kingdom. And then Jacques married his daughter, so made his way into the family, took over the company. It's been running in a less moral way since those sales up. And it just shows how much more Jacques is just an ass. You know, and he's... but yeah, hopefully Weiss, or if it ends up being Whitley, end up running the company, they'll be able to turn it around back to how it was originally. I wanted to say the music and moods were so on point for these chapters, like the scene with Raven and Crow, just the lighting and the angles and the music, and the fight with Tyrion and Ranger. And yeah, I just realised I forgot to mention how about Tyrion finding Jon interesting, but I'll go back to that in a second. But yeah, it's just so amazing. I love the animation. Some people are like, oh, I'm still not sure about it, but I really love it. I really do. It's just so amazing. And the music too. You have to watch it with headphones on just to get the feel of the music and the mood. My favourite fight scene, there was only one fight scene in these 3 chapters, so it had to be Tyrion vs Ranger, which it just flowed so good and everything, like I already mentioned. It was just, and that funny scene with Nora as well, when Ruby shot Nora, and with the electric bolt, and Tyrion's like, haha, that's ironic, and I'm like, no, it's Nora. She got all charged up. My favourite funny scene would have to be the scene with Ty, Professor Port, and Dr. Oobleck talking about Crow wearing a dress. I thought that was just hilarious. My most shocking and most unexpected moments are sort of a tie between seeing Raven and also finding about Oscar and Osborn as well, because I really didn't think Oscar was linked to Osborn. I thought that was too obvious, but looks like he is. What I think will happen in chapters 7, 8, and 9. Definitely we're going to see the continuation of Tyrion versus Crow and Ranger. So there was a clip teased on Twitter and Facebook. I didn't watch it because I didn't want it to spoil my reaction, but it looks like chapter 7 is going to be continuing on from where chapter 6 left, which is unusual for Rooster Teeth, because I thought I might do like a flashback or something, or go to someone else and talk about that for a while. So it will be interesting to see how that goes. I'm thinking maybe Crow will tell the others to run while he takes care of Tyrion. I think they're going to be evenly matched, and something's going to happen whether they're able to get... I'm hoping they're able to get away somehow. I'm not sure exactly. Maybe something else will come into play where Tyrion has to back off. Maybe maybe Grim will appear or something. That's what I'm thinking. And we're going to see Weiss probably locked up in a room practicing her summoning, like we saw in the trailer with the big glyph on the ground. So I say she's going to be practicing summoning tonight now that she was able to summon the Borbatusk. Yang training with Ty. I think something may happen. Maybe Grim will attack or something that will revive the firing Yang and get her motivated. Worry something may happen to Ty, because we see her really angry in her character shot, so I'm wondering if something will happen to Ty. I guess we'll find out, but that's my thoughts. I think the White Fang will definitely attack in Nadri, and something's going to happen to Blake's family and maybe son. Ranger will be continuing on, hopefully, depending on how the outcome of the Tyrion vs Crow fight. I'm thinking they do continue on, which I assume they will. They'll meet up with Raven and the bandits at some point as well. I think we'll see Hazel and Adam meet with Sienna Khan, which will be interesting. It'll be good to see Sienna Khan and see if they're a tiger faunus, like in the Jungle Book. Khan, I've forgotten, Garkhan, I think it is. Is a tiger. And also, we don't have to forget, Dr. Watts is meeting with the informant in Mixxsell, so maybe we'll see that too. Maybe someone we know. Not sure. But yeah, so that's all my overall thoughts so far. Oh my god, my hood. I have my hair in a ponytail. I just got home from work. I've already been talking for 25 minutes. Sorry guys, this is going to be a long one. I haven't even got to your questions yet. Okay, questions. So I post on Amino and Twitter. My cloak is caught under my chair. Okay, sorry. Okay, so I asked on Amino and Twitter for your questions for me to answer here. So I've got a lot of questions because Lady Stardust was amazing and retweeted my tweet. So I'll go through them. I'm probably not going to talk as much as I would have liked because I'm already almost at 30 minutes now. So I'll just brief over them. But if you ever want to ask me anything to get my opinions, feel free to contact me on Amino or Twitter or comment below in the comments. So, on Amino, AC Gears and Arms asked, what do you think will happen with Ranger after Crow and Tyrion fight? Will he have to spill the beans? Well, if they get away, I think he will. Then you will have to explain a bit more. Though he may not know Tyrion, and he may not know that he works for Salem, unless he mentions it, though I don't know if he will, so I'm not sure about that. I guess we'll have to find out really what the outcome of that fight. But I say that Ranger will continue on towards Haven. Imperial Dawn, who does amazing artwork by the way, he asked, how do you feel about the fight choreography in RWBY? Obviously with Monteagle and things were about to change, but considering the fight with Tyrion, I was really happy with it compared to the Volume 3 fights and the fights from chapters 1 to 3. To be fair, they weren't PvP style fights, like Penny Imperial, yes. So in terms of chapters 4 to 6, how did you enjoy the fight choreography with Tyrion? Well, like I mentioned before, it really flowed nicely with the music, and it had me on my seat, which is what it was meant to. I had goosebumps. I was saying, oh shit, oh shit, oh shoot, in my reaction, which I don't usually swear a lot. I swore a few times in this, sorry. So, yeah, I really enjoyed it. And yeah, I liked the fights in chapters 1 and 3. But I must admit, I enjoyed this one a lot more. So, I say probably out of the series so far, this is probably my favourite fight scene. So, yeah, it just seemed to flow and just had me intense and worried about what was going to happen, which the other ones didn't so much. On Twitter, Lady Stardust under @Sable_Joe, which is a new account, asked, favourite new character so far? That has to be Carly. I love Carly. She's so gorgeous. I love her humour and everything. She's just so amazing. Cody at @IJarisk also asked the same question, but he also said, what do you think the Council of Justice, aka Team Witch, as we call them, is after in the end game? I like the Council of Justice name. Well, they seem to be targeting the schools, because they were directly after Beacon, and then they're directly after Haven, saying Haven is next. So they're after the actual schools, not the kingdoms. So, and I remember when Roman mentioned, that died like every other huntsman in history to RWBY. So I think they're trying to kill off all the huntsmen and huntresses. Maybe they'll leave a week for and get more grim to attack the kingdoms. I'm really not sure, but they're definitely not wanting anything good. It's definitely chaos and grim attacking everything, and yeah, so it'll be interesting to hopefully we'll find out a bit more what they're after in the end game, definitely. Josiah Martinez asked, how many people are afraid of Crow? Well, I'm not afraid of him. I definitely wouldn't want to get on his bad side. But well, he is a very powerful huntsman, and he's working for Osmond as well. He has to be quite strong and skilled. So I think he's going to be definitely a match for Tyrion, and Tyrion may be a bit nervous about fighting about him. I guess we'll have to wait and find out. Lycan asked, the real Lycan 101 asked, thoughts on Tyrion being a Faunus, and how do you think Raven will affect the story later on, and thoughts about Crow's shape-shifting. Tyrion being a Faunus, awesome. Unexpected. Did not think that. Maybe I should put that as my unexpected moment. Definitely did not expect Tyrion to be a Scorpion Faunus. And I thought he grew the tail, but I had a couple of people comment on my video saying no, it was wrapped around his waist. So he used it as a surprise. It definitely suits him. Yeah, it definitely gives him another element, doesn't it? I think Raven's definitely going to be a big part on the story. Like we had the first glimpse of her in Volume 2 and now in Volume 4. And the bandits as well. So I think they're going to have an impact on Ranger's story in particular. And of course with Yang maybe going after Raven too to meet up with her. I guess I don't know. And thoughts on Crow's shapeshifting. I think it's his semblance. But a lot of people are like, but I don't think it is. But I think it is. Raven, I'm not sure about whether a lot of people are saying her semblance is shape-shifting as well into a raven, which makes sense because we see Crow looking at ravens a lot, or birds that look like ravens. But she has the portals too, right? So maybe that's her semblance. Or maybe people are like, maybe being part of the bandits that they all can shapeshift. Well, I guess we had to think that there's fairy tales in RWBY, right? In the world of Remnant. And we know silver-eyed warriors, and also we've got the maidens as well, right? So there's sort of magical abilities, so magic being another element here. It is actually real in Remnant. So maybe Crow and Raven are from some sort of fairy tale, and that gives them the ability to shapeshift and other things. Because Raven also knew what was going to happen too, so how did she know that? So, yeah. But I think it's his semblance. Ethan... Cantervillex 333 asks, what is your favourite song from RWBY soundtrack? It's got to be Boop. I love Boop, but I also love Neon. I also love Red Light Roses too. There's a lot of in Cold. I love a lot of them are my favourites, but I guess if I had to pick one, it'd probably be Boop. I love that song. I always dance around to it whenever it's on my phone. SS Baked Alaska at Zubali asks, what are your head canons? This is where I thought I'll talk about John. So, we saw Tyrion interested in John. Okay. I think it's his eyes. And we know eyes are important in Remnant, with RWBY with the silver eyes. So, when we saw his eyes glowing in Chapter 2, when he was practicing, his eyes were glowing. And I thought at the time, maybe it's just the lighting and such. But, no, I think there's something special about him. I'm not sure, it's another fairy tale or something, or maybe something to do with Pyrrha. A lot of people thinking that. But I definitely think there's something interesting with John as to do with his eyes. What, I'm not totally sure about. I'll have to think about it a bit more. But, I think it's something to do with his eyes. That's definitely my headcanon. And I can't really think of anything else right now. But I'll probably mention some more in the future when I have a bit more time. Half the Battle asked, I'd like to know your thoughts on the moon, the origin of dust, and the connection between Salem and the Grim. And also curious what you think of Cinder's knowledge and control of the Grim Dragon. I could be here all day. Well, I think Cinder's knowledge and control of the Grim Dragon definitely came from Salem. And it has something to do, I think, with the glove, her tattoo on her back, and how she sort of got Amber's powers with the glove, with the Grim bug thing. So I think she's got a link to the Grim in that aspect. And we see, during her treatment in Chapter 3 with Salem there, I'm thinking something Grim related to her left side of her arm. So I'm thinking it's something, that's how she was able to control the Grim Dragon in Volume 3. Some to do with some link to the Grim, and maybe the Maiden's powers as well. As in with the moon, I think it's broken, but it's in a cycle, because we see it sometimes in whole as at other times when it's sort of just broken and in half. So I think it's in a cycle. As to what happened to it, I don't know. There's lots of theories saying Salem broke the moon or something, but yeah. And the dust, good question. I'm not too sure. It's the energy propellant. To me, it's just it's another, we've got oil and gas and things like that. To me, it's just another form of energy propellant that is in the world of Remnant that they use for all sorts of different things. Toxic Reflex asked, straight up, does Crow seem like he could be RWBY's dad? Yes, I do see that, and I do kind of believe that maybe he could be. There's lots of similarities there, but then again, RWBY looks a lot like Summer. So, from what we've seen of Summer anyway, not much. But, the black hair, in particular, and the silver eyes, of course. And they just look very similar. So, I don't know. I'm thinking maybe, but I'm not sure. Not sure. I definitely think there's something... I don't know. He's very protective of RWBY more than Yang, but... I guess RWBY needs him more at the moment, doesn't he? Doesn't she? Because he isn't technically her uncle, if you think about it, because her parents being Summer and Tai, while Yang's mother being Raven, and he's Raven's sister. So he's not actually, hasn't got a blood relation to RWBY, but he treats RWBY as his niece. So that's interesting. And she takes up a lot. I think she sees him more as the fatherly figure than she sees Ty as the fatherly figure when you think about it. Because she has like the scythe, for example, and she trained under Crow. Well, we know Ty's also a T-shirt signal. So you think she would have trained under him, but no, she trained under Crow. So I think she sees him as the fatherly figure, but I don't know whether or not he's actually her dad. Drew Tender asks, what are your thoughts on the newest Water Remnants? I like them. The Chalene Dust Company one was good, and I like Crow's humour in it, though I didn't find it as reactable as previous Water Remnants, as you'll see in my reaction when I put it up. And also, though, I was a bit tired when I watched it. But I definitely like the Faunus one. Probably that one's my favourite so far. I just like the humour in it and how Crow's talking about regrowing lizard tails and snake scales and things, shedding snake skins and things like that. So I really love the humour in it. I like them so far. I think it definitely gives a different dynamic with Crow voicing them rather than Ozpin. Though I did like Ozpin, but he was more like doing it as a teach to student, while Crow's just like, hey, so let's just talk about this now, sort of thing. Inspector Harlequin asked, your favourite moment in Volume 4 so far? This is hard. I'm thinking maybe this with John's hoodie. I know it's simple and it's in chapter 1 and a lot's happened since then, but it was hilarious. It was so funny, and every time I see it when I'm watching reactions, I laugh at it because it's hilarious. And RWBY's face, and how she fell down and had her feet in the air and everything. And now when I've rewatched, I'm watching some reactors who are watching Volume 2 and 3, and you can see the curve of the bunny face underneath his armour, which I didn't notice beforehand. Now I see it now that I've seen that. So, yeah, that's just hilarious. I think that's my favourite moment so far, just because it's just so funny. Like, there's lots of other good moments, but I did like that. Yeah, that's the end of my questions. If I missed yours, I'm really sorry. I just got questions coming everywhere, so I just try and note them down as quick as I can so I didn't miss any. But if I did, comment them below, I'll reply to you and answer any questions you have. But if you do want to get your question to me when I do these Thought So Far videos, I will be doing ones for 7, 8 and 9. So just after 9 airs for airs for Rooster Teeth members, I will be putting a post on Amino and well, probably not Amino straight away, probably on Twitter first. So send me your questions, anything you have, and keep an eye on me. Make sure you follow me on Twitter and Amino to not miss out, and because I will be doing posts and saying, look, I'm asking for questions, send me questions as well, so you can get in it. But overall, yeah, I think I mentioned everything. There was a lot to talk about, and I've been talking for 37 minutes now. This is probably my longest video ever. And you're just listening to me ramble on. Oh well. I really love Volume 4 so far. I'm really loving it. I've got a feeling it's going to get darker though. Well, we already had a dark feel to it already, but I think it's definitely going to get darker going on. And I think we might see some character deaths, which is scary. Then again, we may not. We might just see some injuries, but I definitely think things are going to happen. I think 7, 8 and 9 is where events are actually going to occur. While we're seeing pieces of the puzzle coming together, and we had some questions to some of the things we've always been asking, like about Raven and such. I think now that we've got that sort of past, we're going to actually see things actually happening and everything happening, and I don't think it's going to go well for our characters. But yes, let me know what you think is going to happen in the comments below. I really do hope you enjoyed this video. And make sure you check out my reactions. It will be in the card section above. And yeah. So thanks for watching. Give the video a like if you enjoyed it. And I'll see you all in the next one. Okay, bye. Right now. Shit. Yes. Thank God.